Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Lancer Custom Werks, where I will be discussing the various mech builds you could make and play with Lancer. Gilgamesh, master of never running out of shit, until it does. You all know it, I know it, but let's give a reminder. Gilgamesh is the king of limited tag systems because he can literally throw more of it than anyone else, and he can do things better by throwing more craps around, and if he takes damage, he can endure it better than any other frame by just shrugging it off on and off battlefield. All these basically makes Gilgamesh last longer in combat at peak performance, not just due to having more stuff and health, but also because players feel more comfortable throwing things and performing high-risk moves instead of, quote, conserve things for emergency, unquote. This excellent logistic could even be further stretched by Grease Monkey, and many talents with a limited use also benefits a lot from Gilgamesh trait, and of course, we can't forget Demolitionist, because of course any grenade spamming Gilgamesh will want it. And since there's limited systems for every purpose, Gilgamesh is an incredibly flexible design like Everest that also carved out its own niche, exactly what Harrison Armory intended this thing to be. So incredibly flexible that I got like, a staggering amount of submission. Needless to say, Gilgamesh can do well in every role, but primarily, it's still a striker first and foremost. Anyway, let's take a look at the most common of all Gilgamesh builds, the striker controller builds. Indefatigable is probably the most normal Gilgamesh you will see today, so we gonna use that as a stepping stone, and quickly, you can see the strength of Gilgamesh already. 2 of its weapons are heat generating ones, but that's fine because it has 6 goddamn uses of RSU, you will never overheat unless you truly screw it up. It's also why this build has Heatfall and Nuclear Cavalier to take full advantage of this by OC looping like heck. Also, more uses of ASURA than you will ever need. Add in Grease Monkey, and you can get even more of those. And combined with Crackshot and Heavy Gunner, this build can do well with lots of DACA around. Not all build here use RSU because it still needs 2 points into Sherman, but you will still see plenty of them, like this build here called Upgun, a flying Gilgamesh with full ace talent, and you will never see this thing get down because whenever it gets too hot from flying, you will not be very quickly, and you are free to keep shooting everything down below. You know what likes having more limited charges? Explosive, all the explosives. This is Counter-Strike. You have 7 flashbangs along with every other things. Some people might say throwing explosives is not a viable tactic, those people just don't have enough of it. I however, definitely got enough of it because literally 1/5 of the submission I got is just grenade spam build in almost every possible variety. It's real easy to get as many types as you want with just 1 point of investment in plenty of license. Want to put down mines but enemies won't get close to them? This is Keep Off the Grass, which wants the enemies to touch grass by forcing them to do so with 4 goddamn stub cannons, which all benefits from, you guess it, more limited charges. These are powerful mine options here, and you are making the enemy's life hell with them. JKII's Mall Ninja is a blink teleporting Gilgamesh with 7 charges of Jaeger Kuz 2, which with bonus from Kai bioplating and Spaceborne, you will almost certainly be winning most of the time. Grease Monkey if you need more somehow to animate everyone to hell, and Terashima to cover for every situation with the power of anime. Stardust and Chaff is a Gilgamesh with a giant shotgun, specifically, Vanguard DSAS, and the Daisy Cutter, which once again benefits from more limited charges. The projected shield is literally here in case your allies are in your field of fire and you want to give them cover without turning them into confetti. Other than that, just shoot the boomstick whenever you got the opportunity because you barely need to care about counting your shots. Putting the Hydra to shame is, of course, a drone commander Gilgamesh. First thing first, holy shit, someone actually use Ghoul Nexus. But anyway, some drones are expendable limited charges designs that benefits from being on Gilgamesh, and even for those that isn't like the Hive drone, Gilgamesh makes them more survivable with its core passive, making Gilgamesh a very capable drone focus platform. Also, Legion Nexus is just even more drones, capable of covering more grounds or give covers to allies. A DC Gilgamesh is honestly, almost built to be like a commander, like a king. DRILLGAMESH is a Gilgamesh with a drill, and also all of Vlad's systems because half of it is limited charges. Gilgamesh might lack Vlad's trait which benefits more from an immobilized prey, but it can certainly throw more traps around, which might just give more opportunity to use the drill with. Finally, there's Double Tap, a half-Raleigh Gilgamesh with 2 hand cannon and bolt throwers, and it's kind of funny, because with this many RSU charges, you can quickly stabilize whenever you want and reload guns as fast as Raleigh can and just start blasting. Once again, Grease Monkey for more charges, but at this point, the only way you will need more charges is if the GM throw more soon-to-be corpses at you. And that's basically it on the striker controller Gilgamesh. It's funny how Gilgamesh can really just do so much on battlefield from just having so much craps to do things with. Inside every Gilgamesh is the entire supply system of the US military, add in the fact that as a Harrison Armory, it wants points in engineering anyway, and it will always have more charges to throw around that can bend the battlefield to its whim. Next up, there's the Striker Defender builds. Tilting at nuclear windmills is not quite a defender build, but considering this build has like all the brace effect, it's going to be well protected for sure. Emergency repair module is also decent in keeping your allies alive, though a better way to keep your allies alive is to get right in your enemy face with Pankrathy or Ramjet and just punch their face in. Droning in my drone cave is a DC Gilgamesh with a side of Drake that wants to dig hole and put up bunkers everywhere. With 6 goddamn charges, you can just throw up bunker because you feel like it, add in Legion Nexus and House Guard, and your allies will have cover everywhere. The Caring Mom is a Fomorian House Guard Gilgamesh that wants to take care of everyone. Enclave alone is already a good shield system, then this thing can also throw restock drone, utility drone, ASO stabilizer, and even brace for emergency whenever you want. You just have so much craps in your medkit that your allies will love you. Finally, there's Babylonian Roommate Special, a Gilgamesh equipped with Argonaut shield to protect its closest roommate. In a way, this build is made for a riding Gilgamesh on a battle taxi, maybe an Inkiju. This build doesn't just provide protection, but also aid in rolling dices with Spotter, Bonded, and Marker Light, paired with a powerful roommate, and these two will kick lots of ass. And that's about it on the Striker Defender builds. While Gilgamesh isn't really built for defending, having the usual Harrison Armory quality durability and having more shits in your pockets will do the job well enough. Having 3 weapon mounts won't hurt either. Next up, Striker support builds, of which there's only 3. Vent Welder. Welder of Vents is more a striker with a slight touch of support with ASO and utility drones, because its main goal is to cook the shit out of the target, as when in danger zone, the super thermal blade can deal 4 heat on their own, plus 2 from Nuclear Cavalier, then 4 from 3 Plasma Torch, 1 via Hunter 3 Disdainful Blade, for a total of 10 heat with a barrage. That's bound to set someone to super hot. But this also makes this Gilgamesh a bit hot to use. That's fine, because having 13 heat cap and enough fuel rod shots that you have no idea what to do with them will help a lot. Destructive Goodwill is just a half Emperor Gilgamesh. It's a rare frame to be seen outside of being itself because of its overwhelming focus on overshield, something most frame don't really make use of. However, both Shanema and Walk of King are limited charge systems, so if you want to make a support build for Gilgamesh that can give all the overshield, this is it. In fact, there's a lot of half Emperor Gilgamesh, but once again, I have to cut a lot of them out. Also, once you charge up that loadout dice because you will, spend it on the Tempest charged blade to cleave someone in half. Ambulance is a battle taxi Gilgamesh, of course there's gonna be one. Shame we won't see many of them for the season of Lancer Custom Werks because nobody is size 2 here, other than being able to transport some teammates. This Gilgamesh can also carry plenty of limited support systems to throw around for aid. And for the last of the striker builds, we got the truly pure striker builds. Flaming Backhand is a half Tokugawa Gilgamesh. This build wants to charge in, cut things to pieces or set them on fire, and has 4 charges of Plasma Gauntlet with Deep Well just barely able to keep you from cooking yourself alive. Even with Gilgamesh durable nature, you might still have trouble using up your Plasma Gauntlet before you run out of stress or structure, but you will almost certainly survive better than a Tokugawa, so it's still a plus. As long as it works, is a Gilgamesh basically built around a Paracausal HMG, a very lethal weapon. Build focused around single weapon like this often have the problem of wow, my gun is destroyed and now I'm dead, but with Gilgamesh, it's almost impossible to have this problem with besides some short delay. This build also features an interesting uses of Prospector talent, as you can swap between 2 places quickly whether to avoid enemies' fire or protect both fronts at the same time by overcharging like mad. Either way, this build really just works. Sometimes you just want more damage. And that's truly it on all the striker builds for Gilgamesh. It's built for this role, and it works extremely well in it. Anyway, with 3 weapon mounts, some Gilgamesh builds will certainly be more focused on shooting at the mid or long range, so, let's continue with the artillery controller builds. Sisyphean Intercontinental Missile Platform is a build that's all about missiles. Main gameplay plan is place down Javelin in a line, then use Jaeger round with burst launcher to knock an enemy through all 3 Javelin with more knockback from Stormbringer, but this build can also do most other things with missiles and rockets when that's not possible. Spear charges are a good way to restrict enemy movement in some ways too. The Energizer Funny is a build about keeping external batteries from not dying, whether that by keeping you from being structure or overheating through emergency repair module or RSU, or just fixing the damn thing with Gilgamesh's passive. This is because +5 range on Annihilator or Andromeda is really good, and 2 threat on the super thermal blade is just nice. Keep that thing from exploding, an enemy will continue to explode away from you. Next there's Silver Bullet Suppressor, because of course I gotta include this build just for the name. The build is simple: put down auto loader drone and start slam fire that Cyclone Pulse rifle every turn. With Siege Stabilizer, you will have the range, and with all the talents, the enemy will be 6 feet under very quickly. And that's about it on the artillery controller builds. Gilgamesh might not be made for it, but its ability to keep the main weapon intact despite everything will certainly be very helpful for it. Next up, the artillery support builds. A completely normal Hydra is another drone commander Gilgamesh, one that makes use of Annihilation Nexus to make any of its deployed drone a node to slice up people with. Held image gives out lock on that can easily trigger effect for drone commander and Senti main, and with drone commander 3, you can easily provide your allies with protection while slicing and dicing your opponent. Next there's all the subalterns, a half-kit Gilgamesh that brings Forge 2, Omnibus Plate, and Legion Nexus to truly turn the landscape into your own backyard. Black Spot also gives bonus accuracy to Legion Nexus, letting you crit fish for Senti main effect better. All in all, logistic for a robot war has never been easier. Alright, we are finally getting close to the finishing line here, just one more build, the one and only pure artillery build for maximum damage. We got Tokugawa at home. I honestly don't think I need to say much here. 7 fucking Lucifer, with an OP Cal Smar gun plus external batteries, crackshot, nuclear cavalier, and hellfire round from walking armory. That's not going to kill God, that's going to kill an entire pantheon. And that's about it for all 40 Gilgamesh builds. There's just so much limited charge systems for Gilgamesh to play around for every role, almost like Harrison Armory is building these to replace Everest or something. Once again, I would like to thank everyone that have submitted their build for this episode. Gilgamesh is truly a frame that redefined battlefield logistic, a mech with Sun Tzu stamp of approval. I don't know what else to say. Limited charge systems are designed to be more powerful in some ways, and when you put it in a frame that can just have more of it, of course it will get more powerful in many interesting ways. Anyway, next episode, we gonna be talking about Amber Phantom, and check down below in the comment section on submission rule for future LCW episode if you want to submit your own builds in. That's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.